We're doing the essential thought for 9th and 10th commandments. So do that.
I have it for a vegetable garden because it's near my house, and I will give you a vineyard for it. For it seems good to you, I will give you these values. But Ahab said to Ahab, the Lord forbid that I should give you the inheritance of my father. And Ahab went into his house next to Solomon because of what Nabal, the reason I had said to him, for he said, I will not give you the inheritance of my fathers. His wife came to him and said to him, why is your spirit so vexed that you eat no food? And he said to her, because I spoke to Nabal the Jezreelite and said to him, give me a vineyard for mine, or else if it please you, I will give you a vineyard for it. And he answered, I will not give you my vineyard. And Jezebel his wife said to him, do you now govern Israel? Arise and eat bread, and let your heart be joyful. I will give you the vineyard of Nabal the Jezreelite. So he wrote letters in Ahab and sealed them with his seal. And she sent orders to the elders and leaders who were in his city. And she wrote in the letters for a name of fast and set Nabal at the head of people and set two worthless men on Bosa and let him bring a charge against him, saying, you have cursed God and the king. Then take him out of the stone to death. And then the city, the elders and the leaders who lived in the city, Jezebel had sent word to them, as it was written in the letters that she had sent to them. They proclaimed a fast and set Nabal as the head of the people. And the two worthless men came and sat Bosa and the worthless men brought him against Nabal in the presence of the saying, Nabal cursed God and the king. They took him outside the city and sent him to death. And they sent to Jezebel, saying, Nabal has been stoned, he is dead. As Jezebel heard that Nabal had been stoned and was dead, Jezebel said to Ahab, arise, take possession of the vineyard and the Jezreelite, which he refused to give you for money, for Nabal is no life with him. And as soon as Ahab heard that Nabal was dead, Ahab rose to go down to the vineyard of Nabal and Jezreelite to take possession. Start it. Vineyard. It's my yard, Jones.
What are you doing?
Why? Why are we going to the weird book? No, so you're coming to so maybe what we should do,
When is it?
it's like later today.
Alright.
It's a youth group. I think it's like 4 or something.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
What we should do is that we suppose go in a group and then we all work and then let Liam go in like a relative, like at least like an 18 mile run. So then he's all alone and then we're all coming in and then we look over here like
So we need to,
no. The scariest room there is the ballroom.
Wait, there's the ballroom?
Yes.
They don't bother if you just walk actually.
They really only,
yeah,
they
pick
only,
on the ones that are like.
no, they go just like any girl.
I need a butterfly.
There's no punching, killing. Yeah.
Good friends when you're chasing them all over and come up to me and
No. They're chasing us around with in the dark forest. And you love the dark forest. You get chased by chainsaws.
Is everybody done reading this wonderful story of King Ahab and his wife? And what did Ahab want? What did Ahab want? What did Nabal have that King Ahab want? Give me your vineyard so that I may have it for a vegetable garden. Why?
Money.
Because it's near my house. Now, that's a legitimate request. I'm willing, it's closer to me. In fact, I will even give you a better one. And if you don't want that, I will give you the fair market price, if not more, for that property, Naboth. And Naboth says, what? No, why? Forbid that I should give it to you, the inheritance of my fathers. Back then, it was required by law that if you received an inheritance such as property, that was to stay in the family. That was to stay in the family until the year of Jubilee. So every 49 years, then it could be shifted around. But Naboth says, it's required by God's law that I can't sell this to you. I can't do this for you. And so what does Ahab do? What does he do? He goes where? He goes home. He's vexed and sullen because Naboth didn't sell him the land. What is vexed and... If you give me another word for it, what was he doing? What does vexed and sullen mean? Say it out loud.
Pouting.
He was pouting. He would give me the land. I wanted the land. And what he's doing, what? He's laying on his bed, turned his face, and he wasn't going to eat any food. I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm going to get him. I'm not going to eat. I want the land. Now, if I was younger, I would actually be getting on the floor and show you a temper tantrum. Now remember, parents, if your children have a temper tantrum in the middle of it, make sure you step over them and not on them when you walk away. Okay? Look at it. So what does good old wife do? She came in and says, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you eating? Well, Naboth wouldn't sell me his property. And Jezebel goes, well, we can fix that. So what does Jezebel suggest that Ahab do? What did she say? Verse 7. Aren't you in charge? Aren't you the king? Can't the king do anything he wants? Now get up, eat. We'll have a plan. And what was the plan? Well, first they're going to disgrace him, and then kill him. And what do? They kill him to get the land. Yet, what does God do? Like this, tell two worthless men to come up and make false accusations and do that. And so that they heard that, and Naboth dies. He takes possession of it. Now, after this, Elijah is going to come and confront Ahab and saying what he did was wrong. This desire in his heart to have this vegetable garden consumed him so much that he did what in order to get it? Kill him. Can you think of other people who desired things so much that they decided they would go to the nth degree to get something in the Bible? Who's another person that did that? David did. Who was the first one that had coveting in their hearts? First one. Eve. She saw the fruit. It was delicious. But desiring to be like God, she took, ate it, and gave it to Adam. And he ate of it as well, and their eyes were open. This coveting after something that they really, God says, I give you everything. Only thing I don't want you to do is eat from that tree right there. One thing, don't eat from that tree. You have everything else. And yet, what did they do? All right. I want you in your books, catechisms, write 10 things you are grateful for. that you're thankful for. Now the other thing is you can write some things that you're thankful you don't have either, which you might be more thankful for that than the things that you're thankful for. Now, just to let you know, this weekend, I think it's at the Coliseum, is the Lego Brick World thing. One of our members was tempting me to say, you need to go to that, Pastor. The problem is if I went to that, what would just kind of be oozing out of me? It would be coveting all those things. And I don't have money to buy any more Legos. Because I think I have about $10,000 worth of Legos in my house already. Man. So I said, get behind me, Satan. So he goes to my son. But write down 10 things you are grateful for, you're thankful for, and maybe some of them that you're thankful you don't have. Now, can I just say, at least second or third on your list, for you confirmand, is that person that's sitting next to you in class, or across from you, or just saying.
My brother's number 3.
Just saying.
Okay. Milk.
And if you need one more, not me specifically, but
The air.
that, yes, most definitely. Air would be a good thing to be thankful for. Like that Flow commercial where she's with her sister and she's got the oxygen. She goes, oxygen is very important. I need oxygen.
My 2 that are on there are church and I think.
Can we write down Jesus?
Church and Bible.
All right. If you don't finish that up, finish it up later today. Talk about when you go home, whatever. Turn to the next page. Question number 88. What is coveting? Coveting, I think, is the birthplace for all sin. All the other sins that we commit starts with the 9th and 10th commandments. Us not being content with what we have. And that highlighted, underlined it, is a sinful desire in our hearts to acquire for ourselves anything that belongs to our neighbor. It's also the desire to draw away from our neighbor for our own benefit anyone who is important to our neighbors, such as spouse, friends, so on and so forth. It's a sinful desire. Now, there's nothing wrong in saying you see something a person has, you say, oh, that's nice, and saying, I might like that one day, and then figure out how to get it, not scheming it, but going, what do I need to do? How much work do I need to put in it? How much is it going to cost me? How is it going to happen to that? So we have that. One of the things that I desire, which I may never get, but I never know, is to have a Cadillac Escalade. You know, the $100,000 worth more than my house vehicle.
I thought you were going to say Michigan season ticket.
No, well that might be about the same price. So with that would be. But I'm getting older now. I have the best seat in the house on my lazy boy in front of the screen. So if I was younger, probably. So with that, well, my youngest son told me that he will be an athletic trainer for the University of Michigan football team and get me tickets. So.
You think that'll work out?
No. No, with that. But this sinful desire, And obviously, I think this Romans passage, but sin seizing an opportunity through the commandment produces all kind of covetousness. The commandments say, don't do this, and it's like our sinful human nature, but I want to do that. I want to make that. I want that. We're, when Eve was tempted with, oh, don't eat that fruit, and Satan says, well, God knows if you eat of it, you'll just be like him. She's like, where is it? I want it. Give it to me. I want to eat it. That happens. And so this coveting, this sinful desire of wanting something that, for the most part, God says, no, you don't need that. Your neighbor needs that, but you really don't need that. Question number 89, how do we fear and love God in keeping the 9th and 10th commandments? We fear and love God by not coveting the gifts that he's given to our neighbor. A, not plotting to acquire a neighbor's possessions the way that appears proper or legal. That appears right, that we acquire by legal means. B, by not plotting to allure away our neighbor's friends, spouse, or employees, or turn them against our neighbor. Now, what would happen when the commandments came out in Exodus 20, Deuteronomy chapter 5? One of the problems was that divorce was rampant in the Israelite community. And if you remember, Moses wanted to slow down the process, so in order for you to divorce your wife, you had to give her a certificate. If you notice, it was always the men that could divorce the wives couldn't divorce the men, which is kind of interesting. Even up to Jesus' time, there was two schools of thought on divorce. One was that unless she's committed adultery and desertion, you should not divorce her. The other school of thought was, you burned my toast this morning. You're out of here. I mean, that was those extremes. And Jesus is saying, no. Because the thought was, if I divorce her, then I could go marry somebody that won't burn my toast. Or would satisfy me. And it was, oh, she doesn't do that either. Oh, she doesn't do that either. So slowing this down in the process. So, plotting to lure away. Sometimes they would go, hey, I want to marry you, but you got to get divorced from your husband. So burn his toast. Do it all the time. So he goes, I'm done with you, so that we can get together. So that was kind of the thing that's going on. So when God comes along and says, don't covet after things that are not yours, that sinful desire, that would have been a shock to their ears. And they would have went, oh, really? Yes, you are different. You are holy people. You are different than the world. Second, we should fear and love God by be satisfied with God has provided us and others, which includes being thankful for all that God has given us. How did you write that list down? Catechism. Those things that you're thankful for. And maybe some things that you don't have that you're thankful for. B, by helping others to retain what God has given them and encouraging their spouse and workers to remain faithful and loyal. Be faithful and loyal. That you encourage them to do their jobs, to do their duty in doing that as well. As Paul writes in Philippians, let each other look out for not his own interests, but also the interest of others. The interest of others. So encourage them to stay and do their duty by whatever means or ways that is. Now, how are we tempted to be dissatisfied with what we have? Peer pressure, even advertising, often encourages us to be dissatisfied with what we have. We crave other things in order to keep up appearances or to look for happiness, satisfaction in something new. A couple years ago, I went on vacation and we went to Bowling Green, Kentucky. Do you know what car they make in Bowling Green, Kentucky? Corvette. The Corvette. They have a Corvette museum. We went to the Corvette museum. It was pretty cool. The problem with the Corvettes, for me, they're too low to the ground. So that was not a temptation for me. But it was very interesting as we walked around and saw all these Corvettes, which were cool. But there was this phrase that kept going on. We saw it all over the place, and I've heard it in their advertising with Corvettes. It's not a car, it's a way of life. Because how much are Corvettes?
A lot.
A lot. What can you do with a Corvette? can I put 50 pounds or 100 pounds of dirt in the back end of a Corvette and haul it? No. I covet more pickup trucks than anything else. But it's not just a car. It's a way of life. That's true with almost anything. How we are tempted, how we're enticed to think, oh, if I just have this, boom, I have it made. This is probably about 30, maybe 40 years ago already. Does anybody remember the Cosby Show? Bill Cosby? But he had a bunch of kids, and the youngest one was Rudy, and I'll never forget this episode. She wanted this sweatshirt that lit up. It was whatever that was. And she didn't have enough money to get it. So the mom was having some dry cleaning left, and she left money on the table for the guy to drop off the dry cleaning, and so that he would pick it up. Well, Rudy was walking by and said, I'm only $5 short. So she walked away. Went and bought the sweatshirt. Now, mom gets a phone call from the dry cleaners. You're $5 short. He goes, what do you mean? I left all the money there. No, you're $5. And she's going crazy. She's trying to figure out, I know I left the exact amount there on the table. I know it. And then she's tearing the house apart, looking for all this. And while this is all going on, Rudy's beginning to feel more and more guilty. Because she knows what she did was wrong. But she really wanted a sweatshirt because it lit up. And at the end of the show, that episode, she finally confesses. And mom says, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I knew I put the right amount down. And dad says, okay, you just put your mom through all of this. Let's see this sweatshirt that you wanted. So she put it on. She brought it in. And she says, see? And guess what? It didn't light up. It didn't work. It didn't work. Sure, she coveted that sweatshirt so much that she stole. It gave birth to other sins. She lied to her mom. I don't know what happened to the money. Did it fall on the floor somewhere? I mean, all that led to all those other sins. And having that. And that's why, coveting, I say, is the birthplace where sin comes into our lives. That we go, oh, I can't live without that. Well, in reality, God says you can. Is all wanting and desiring and ambition sinful? No, God encourages us to seek His blessings of food, shelter, good jobs, health, success, and so on for ourselves and our families. There are times when God puts, I call, God-pleasing desires in our hearts. God-pleasing desires. That He says, okay, I want you to do whatever that is. Whether that's education, whether that's, moving a new home. We've been in our present home for about 15 years now, and Deb and I, when we were looking, because we were outgrowing our old home, and we really struggle with that. Does the Lord want us to get a different home? Or are we coveting after something we shouldn't be coveting after? And so we put up all this stuff. Okay, our house has to sell first, and then we have to find a house that will be up for sale that would work for us. Well, does anybody remember Rosie, the librarian, over at the... She was selling her house. In fact, one day she was doing a library thing, and she goes, S. What's S for? Oh, sale. We are selling our house. Well, my wife goes. So we saw the house that we moved into. It was beautiful. It's a beautiful house. In fact, my wife and I were just commenting on that, how blessed we are. But we said, and before we buy that house, our other house has to sell. It was beginning of November. And now, if you know anything about the housing market, if houses don't sell by Thanksgiving, they won't sell until the new year. So we're going, oh, because there were some other people looking at the house. In fact, a guy named Don Wharton. Ever heard of Don Wharton? He was interested in the house. Our house sold. And then we moved into our new house Thanksgiving weekend, some 15 years ago. And that happened. So, and the Lord blessed us with that house. He continues to bless us with that house. The problem is that the house is bigger, which means we acquire more stuff. I need a bigger house to put my stuff in. No, just kidding. Well, I do have a lot of stuff. But my wife and I said, this is, yes. It's a great thing. We are blessed. In fact, my wife for a few years there, she babysat kids, so it worked out great for us there that we have that as well. So we deal with that. So yes, there are sometimes the Lord places things in our hearts that are good, that He wants us to strive to do that and to make that happen. That's God pleasing. That's God pleasing. Question number 92. What particular is important about these last two commandments? They remind us that covetousness or evil desire is a form of idolatry, ingratitude. Dissatisfaction tempts us to break the other commandments, for example, the 7 commandments. Like I said, it's these commandments that give birth to the other commandments. That all of a sudden, oh, I'm not happy with what I have. Oh, and that sinful desire. Oh, and that we want something that God says, no, I don't think that's really what you need. In fact, I know you don't really need that. You just want that. And that's the problem, the difference between what we need and what we want. Got to know the difference between the two in dealing with that. And then they remind us that God wants us to love Him above all and to have holy desires. Holy desires. Okay, God, you place this on our hearts. You put this in front of us. I want to make sure that this is what you want for us. What He wants for you, what He wants for me. And sometimes you get to ask the question, is it this job? Or God, do you want me to do this job? Do you want me to do this or do this? You want me to have this or do you want me to have this? And the Lord does help us with that and deal with that. Now, the problem that we have in our culture today is that we have this thing right here. What's this? It's called easy money. Oh, I can go buy something. Shh. This is the worst kind of debt you can acquire. Worst kind. Worst kind you have. It's great. You can, if you learn how to use this, discover, great, use it to give me money back. Oh, it's like they're giving me money to use their card. But the problem is when you don't pay it off at the end of the month, they use a lot of money. And realizing that and how to make sure you don't get sucked up into that. We are starting to go into the season of Christmas. Wonderful, the birth of Jesus, and buying gifts for our family, our loved ones, whatever that is. Now, as a kid, what did I always look forward to get in the mail about this time of the year? Sears or Toys R Us. And my sister and I would circle, I think we circled everything in the book. And obviously my parents were very discerning and said, no, we're not going to get you everything. They gave us a lot of things we wanted. And we were very blessed with that. I'm very thankful for that. I'll never forget when I was 5 years old, I wanted this yellow truck. It's a car carrier hauler truck. It was the coolest thing. I got it for Christmas. Guess what I still have today? And guess what I use it for? Moving furniture. Got the little truck, put it on there, move the furniture. My mom says, that was the greatest Christmas present ever. We would have never thought that. I still use it to this day to move furniture. I'm sure those who would enjoy antique Tonka trucks are probably going, oh, what are you doing? It's my toy. My toy. I get to play with it. I still play with it. I was so excited when my kids were younger and we played with trucks. I'm looking forward to the day when grandchildren come into my house. My wife and I were cleaning up the house, and I'm keeping all these trucks, and I'm saying, oh, I'm saving that for my grandchildren. She goes, great. Which is a wonderful thing that God has given to us, that we have. So this, and kind of spend a little bit more time on this than the other commandments, but I think this is so important because this, learning to be content with what you have. Yes, and realizing what is these holy desires that God gives to us, this holy ambitions, whatever that is. You're going to be going off to high school, and in a very short period of time, and I'm sure Auntie Benjamin knows how this goes, in a very short period of time, they're graduating, and they're going to go to college. And then they graduate from college, and you're going, what happened here? back when I told you we got our house 15 years ago, my youngest was 3. He's 18 now. When we first moved into the house, we had a stairs, and my wife was videotaping, and in the background you hear, "Oh, he fell down the stairs." Of course, he was all wrapped up in his coat like a scuba diver, you know. I think he bounced a couple times when he got there. But it's kind of funny. We still have that video. We played it. I'm waiting for his future spouse. I'm going to play at the wedding reception. We have that. So, we have that. So, all right. That's all I got for today. So I know we ended a little earlier, but so no class next week. We'll meet here in 2 weeks, which will be Reformation Sunday. Have a great time. Which parents are going on the trip? Well, some of you, this is your 3rd time.
Wade went for
Okay, your 2nd. I've been on 5. Sleep on the way there. You'll sleep on the way back. Trust me.
Amanda Parker, nobody's talking to. Oh, I'm calling you out. Yeah, exactly.
It's a great trip. And you do a lot of stuff in a very short period of time. You're going to want to spend time, come back later, and do that. So we'll see you guys later. Is she? I got an answer.
If he was the first person to come in, then why here does it like talk about Satan?
Well, yeah, Satan would be, but I'm talking about human beings. Satan was, what was Satan before he was Satan? I mean, what was he? Yes. But that would be, that's true. If you wanted to say the first created being, it would, if you want a person, like you and me, Eve, well, good. I'm glad you saw that.